Hello guys, welcome to Chapter 6 Study Guide. I'm going to go over each question so that way when you're studying tonight you can look at the question, see how I break it down, and then practice it. So let's go ahead and let's look at number 1. Okay, and I'm not going to show the problems because you have them in your study guide. Number 1 says Joe lives 4 3/4 miles from the gym. He decides to bike from his home to the gym to work out. He biked 1 1/10 miles and he remembered he left his headphones at home. So he biked back home to get it. After getting his headphones, he biked to the gym. What's the total distance in miles Joe biked when he finally reached the gym? So he's 4 3/4 away. So we know that he went from home to the gym on his very last bike trip. Okay? But at first, he biked 1 1/10. Then he realized he forgot his headphones and he biked back 1 1/10. So this should be the equation that you have, because he biked from his home to the gym, okay? So that's where the 4 3/4 comes from, okay? But it said he biked 1 1/10 before he went back that 1 1/10. So that's why you have those three equations. And what you want to do is I'm going to do these two first because that's going to be, they have the common denominator. So 1 plus 1 is 2. 1 plus 1 for the numerators is 2. Denominator stays the same, 2 2/10. And bring this down to 4 3/4 plus 2 2/10. Now we need to find a common denominator between the 4 and the 10. Well, I know counting in tens, 10, 20. 4 goes into 20. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 3 over 4. I'm going to multiply something to get 20. Well, I know 4 times 5 is 20, so I got to do 3 times 5, which gets it 15. So my new fraction here is 4 and 15 over 20. 2 over 10, you need to multiply something to get 10 to 20. Well, you multiply 10 times 2. 10 times 2 is 20, so you got to do 2 times 2, which makes it 4. Remember, whatever you do to the bottom, you got to do to the top. Okay? So I got plus 2 and 4 over 20. 4 plus 2 is 6. 15 plus 4 is 19. Denominator stays the same. 6 and 19 over 20 is your final answer. Okay? That's number 1. We're going to go ahead and do number 2. If you need to rewind and pause, go ahead and do that. If you get a problem wrong, you should rewind and rewatch a couple times at least to just make sure you get it and write it with me. Do it with me. That's going to help you understand the steps that you're going to need so that way you can ace the quiz tomorrow. All right. Next one. Josefina bought 5-6 pounds of deli meat and 3/4 pounds of American cheese. Select the pairs of fractions that are equivalent to the amount Josefina bought. Mark all that apply. Well, A is one of your answers because when you take 5 over 6 and you multiply them both by 2, that gets you 10 over 12. And when you take 3 over 4 and multiply them both by 2, that gets you 6 over 8. So 10, 12, and 6, 8 are equivalent fractions. Looking at, and remember, our two fractions are 5 over 6 and 3 over 4. Okay? So looking at 20, which is B, 20 over 36 and 14 over 15, well, this is definitely not an answer because 14 doesn't go into 3 at all. And even though 20 goes into 5, like 5 times 4 is 20, 6 times 4 would be 24, and we have 36. So it can't be that. Okay? It can't be those. So B is definitely not one. All right? C has 15 over 18 and 9 over 12. Well, I know 5 times 3 is 15, so it should be 6 times 3 is 18, and yes, that checks out. 3 times 3 is 9. It should be 4 times 3, which is right. 4 times 3 is 12. Okay, so those all check out. C is our other answer. D says 5 over 8 and 6 over 8. And this one you should know right away that cannot be true because even though the 6 changed to an 8, which makes no sense, the 5 stayed the same. Okay? They're not equivalent. Okay? And even though this 3 and 4, you multiplied it by 2 and made it equivalent, this fraction's not equivalent. Therefore, D is not your answer. All right, let's do number 3. Your answer for number 2 is A and C. Okay, if you need to rewind and rewatch it, go ahead and do that now. Number 3 is Roy bought 3 and 1/3 boxes of chocolate muffins for bake sale. Jeff bought 2 3/4. What's the total number of muffins? So you're adding because it's asking for the total. Okay, so first things first, we need to find an equivalent fraction. So 1/3 and 1/4, you got to multiply them by each other because they both have 12 as a common denominator. Okay, so you need to find an equivalent fraction, meaning you need to find a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply the 1 and the 3 by 4 and the 1 and the 4 by 3. That's going to give me my numerators as 12. Okay, 3 times 1 is 3, 4 times 1 is 4. So I have 3 and 4 over 12 plus 2 and 3 over 12. It's all right. Oh, I'm so sorry. I made a mistake here. This should not be a 1. That should be a 3. Okay, that's my mistake. I don't know where I got 1/4 from. It's 2 3/4. Okay, I was like, that doesn't make sense. Okay, so 3 times 3 is actually 9. Okay, so it should be 2 9/12. Okay, my mistake, guys. I totally didn't see that this is not 1/4, it's 3/4. So it's 2 3/4, so you got to multiply the 4 and the 3 by 3. That gets you 2 9 over 12. So 3 plus 2 is 5. 9 plus 4 is 13 over 12. And we have a numerator that's bigger than the denominator. 13 is bigger than 12. So what we got to do is we have to subtract 12 over 12 from it. That's going to be a 1 whole that we add to the 5, which makes it 6. 13 minus 12 is 1. Denominator stays the same. Your answer is 6 and 1 over 12. Okay. We take out, or we know that we can take a whole out of this numerator right here. Okay, so we take a whole out, that's what this is, and that whole gets added to the 5 to make it 6. Okay, so we get 6 and 1 over 12. All right, sorry for that little error. I just totally spaced, I guess, and wrote 2 1/4 when it's 2 3/4. All right, number 4 says, Mr. G built a fence to enclose his yard. He built 2/3 of the fence on Saturday. Sunday, he put up 1/6. And then it says he did the rest on Monday. What portion did he put up on Monday? Well, we know that it needs to be a whole number. That would be the full portion because he's enclosing it. It's going to be all 4 sides. So we know we got to find right here a common denominator. I know 3 goes in the 6 2 times. So I'm going to take 2 over 3 and I'm going to multiply them both by 2 because 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. So now I add 4/6 plus 1/6 equals 5 over 6. And now, what I do is I know that to have the whole fence done, it would be 6 over 6. Well, he's already done 5 over 6. So 6 minus 5 is 1 over 6. That's what he did on Monday. He finished it up on Monday. In order to finish it up and get 6 over 6, you have to add the 1/6. Okay? So that's your answer for number 3. Okay? We found a common denominator. We added the fractions together to get us 5/6. Okay? So we found the common denominator here. Added the fractions to get 5/6. And then we said, okay, well, to get it all done, you'd have to have 6 over 6. So we subtract 5/6 from 6 over 6 to get 1 over 6, which is our answer. Okay? That's done with number 3. You can pause and rewind if you need to. Let's do number 4. Number 4 says, Mr. G built a fence. Oh, no, we did number 4. Let's do number 5. Sorry about that. So that's number 4. If you need to rewind and pause, go ahead. Let's do number 5. Becky roller skated 5/6 of a mile on Tuesday and 3/5 of a mile on Wednesday. How much did she skate in all? So you need to add. Okay? So the first thing we got to do is find a common denominator. The only common denominator I know, or at least the least common denominator, is 30. So I know we take 5/6, and to get 630, we multiply it by 5. 5 times 5 is 25, so our new fraction is 25 over 30. To get 3/5 to be 30, you got to multiply 5 times 6, which means you got to multiply 3 times 6 to make it 18. So our new fraction is 18 over 30. And now we add. 30 stays the same, denominator stays the same. 25 plus 18, I'm just going to add quickly over here. 25 plus 18 makes that 13, 43. So we got 43 over 30. Well, the numerator here is bigger than your denominator. So what we got to do is we got to take 43 over 30 and subtract 30 over 30. Okay? That gets us 13 over 30. And we know that the whole that we are using is going to be added here. So our answer is 1 and 13 over 30. That's it for number 5. Rewind or pause if you need to. Let's go ahead and do number 6. Number 6 is a simple one. It just says find the sum, 2 over 3 plus 1 over 4. So we need to find a common denominator and then just add it. So I know 3 and 4 both have 12, so we're going to take 2 over 3, multiply it by 4 to get 8 over 12. We're going to take 1 over 4, multiply it by 3 to get 3 over 12. And our new fraction is going to be 8 over 12 plus 3 over 12. Denominator stays the same. 8 plus 3 is 11. 11 over 12 is our final answer. That's it for number 6. If you need to pause or rewind, go ahead and do so. We're going to do number 7. Number 7 says find the difference. Difference means you've got to subtract 4 over 9 minus 1 over 11. Now, I can't think of really any common denominators that they might have, so I'm just going to multiply them together. We'll multiply the 9 and the 11. So I'm going to take 4 over 9, multiply both 9 and 4 by 11. It gives me 44 over 99. I'm going to take 1 over 11. I'm going to multiply them both by 9. That's going to get me 9 over 99, and then I just add. 44 over 99, I'm sorry, subtract, right? It says subtract. Then I subtract. 44 over 99 minus 9 over 99 equals 35 over 99. And that's your final answer. Okay. Yeah, double check the operation like I did. I looked over and said, wait, it's subtract, not add. So 35 over 99 is my answer. All right. Pause and rewind if you need to. We're going to go ahead and do number 8. Number 8 says Miguel and Zach are sharing a burrito. Miguel eats 1/4 of the burrito, while Zach eats 1/2. How much more of the burrito did Zach eat than Miguel? Well, first off, we need to find a common denominator. I know 2 goes into 4 2 times, so I'm going to make it, instead of 1/2, I'm going to make it 2/4. And what they say is how much more, which means you need to subtract Zach's total, which is 2/4, from Miguel's total, which is 1/4. 2 minus 1 is 1. 4 stays the same. So Zach ate 1/4 more of the burrito than Miguel did. That's number 8. And that's the end of your Chapter 6 study guide. Please make sure you look at the problems that you missed in the study guide so you can see how it's done. Rewind it. You might want to look at it more than once. Okay? It won't hurt. And if you have any questions, make sure you ask before we do the quiz tomorrow. All right? Thank you for watching, and have a good one.